Okay, trivia time. Time is on the clock. Name 5 things that automatically come to mind when thinking about wealth management or financial advisors. Ready? Go.
That's easy. Bored, painful, rather listen to my in-laws, numbers.
Almost there.
Torture?
We have a winner. Let's tell him what he's won. You've won the PennyWise Financial Podcast. Yes, it's a financial show, but we talk to you like human beings talk. Sure, we do the traditional retirement planning and money management, but we also help plan for other decisions, like buying a car, selling a home, buying vacation properties, or selling a business. We're more than financial advisors to you. PennyWise Financial, brought to you by Monarch Wealth Management. This is PennyWise Financial, and this is Constantine Kitrinos.
Welcome to the PennyWise Financial Podcast. This is Constantine, Managing Partner Financial Advisor here at Monarch Wealth Management. Today we have guest host Collin Wheatley from Aflac, the District Sales Coordinator. Collin, welcome to the show.
Hey, Constantine, thank you for having me.
Fantastic. It's a beautiful sunny day. I'm so happy to have you on the show and kind of pick your brain on where things are going in the economy and the broad market, and also with small local business. Yeah. First, let's talk about Aflac. Everybody knows the duck, and they've seen the commercials. What's the history on Aflac?
Aflac. So when I first started with Aflac, I found out so much about this company that I had no idea that this company was about. So Aflac was started in 1955. By the Amos brothers.
Amos?
Yeah.
A-M-O-S?
A-M-O-S.
Okay.
Yep. And if you have the our Aflac stock, it's a fantastic stock to be
publicly traded stock.
Traded.
We're not promoting the stock here, but
and so the Amos brothers started Aflac in 1955, which for most people, they're like Aflac, and most people think Aflac started in the 90s, which the duck actually came out in 2000, but we've actually been around for much longer than that.
Was there something before the duck?
No, it was AFLAC. It was the acronym for American Family Life Assurance Company, and so Aflac was, to separate itself marketing wise from other insurance companies, it was fairly difficult. And people would say like Aflac, it was a different time, right? It was before TV was out, but when the duck came around, it was perfect timing. And the reason the duck actually came out too was because when they said Aflac, it sounded like a duck. It sounded like a quack. And so they came out with the Aflac duck marketing piece, and the rest was history.
Wonder what firm came up with that. They probably made a pretty penny on it. But yeah. it's definitely instilled. I mean, people resonate. They see that duck and they know.
Right. Absolutely.
So how, that's a background on the company. We know it's a publicly traded stock. How did you get started with Aflac? What was did you have a passion to come in and offer these benefits to help people? What was it?
Yeah. So, it was, let's see, at the time I was at school at MCC studying, child development psychology, and with the intention of going into guidance counseling, working with K through 12 school age children. And as I was working a retail job, one of my high school buddies came up to me and asked me to, if I've heard about Aflac, and of course everyone's heard about Aflac, and asked me to come in for an interview. So, at the time I was open to it. So I came into the Aflac interview, and by the time I got out, I was like, man, I can absolutely do this. And 6 years later, here I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies, and I've known you for quite a while. And
it does.
So you shifted gears from education, in a sense, to a different type of education.
Yeah. Yeah. It has been a great experience, a great journey. I love it. I love the freedom and flexibility, the people that I've been able to meet, the places I've been able to go. It's a completely different world than it would have been in the school sector. But I'm definitely appreciative for where I am.
I bet you, depending on the company, you might still feel like you're at school teaching K through 12.
It's almost, yeah.
Depends on the industry.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Some industries, when I'm doing those educations, they're great to be a part of it. It's great to be interacting with, so many different types of people too. It's really a blessing.
So how does one get started? I mean, if I'm working, if I'm a small business owner in upstate New York, what's the process? What do I reach out to you? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. Reach out to me, Collin_Wheatley at us.aflac.com. The process is very simple. We first identify the need for Aflac, right? So, either your company offers benefits or maybe they don't offer benefits. And we then determine what programs would be the best suited for your company and the employees. And then the education is the most important piece, so that we then educate the employees based on the company's need and make sure that the employees know the importance of these programs and why they would need to utilize them. So then at the end of the education, they're then able to enroll. We basically hold the business owner's hand all the way through the process until everything's complete. And then we have servicing, routine servicing after that.
Who's ideal? Like what size business? Is there a minimum size business, or what would be an ideal business that should be considering Aflac?
Yeah. So ideal business are, well, we work with any business, right? But to provide a little bit more focus to what types of businesses can really utilize our services this is just the individuals that I work really well with are, the blue collar industry, right? Those are the guys who are more accident, injury prone. I don't want to generalize, entire group of individuals, but what we find is sometimes on the blue collar, construction, landscaping, whatever the case might be, some of those people may, and this is not just, a broad statement, but it's in our workforce report too, that there's a large number of individuals and families who are now paycheck to paycheck, whether it be due to the pandemic or family situations or whatever the case might be. And so that in the event there's a catastrophic event where they go to the hospital and have all these medical expenses, that puts people in that financial pickle. And so where Aflac comes in hand is that we pay cash benefits directly to the policyholders. So then they're able to use that money to help offset medical costs and use it for financial expenses as well. And I just love working with the blue collar guys. They're a great group of people.
Wait a minute here.
Yeah.
So, no, but you mentioned prone to injury.
Yeah.
You think about the type of equipment and things that they're doing and they're touching with their hands, et cetera. There's a lot more potential for injury and liability. I mean, what's really going to happen in my office? Am I going to get a paper cut? There's not really a whole lot going on. We don't have a lot of heavy equipment.
Well, you got this podcast set up here. That's some pretty heavy equipment.
Correct. So yeah, I can see the cost the premiums might be higher. I don't know. I might guess what that type is. It industry specific or based on the group?
Yeah. So they are based on the industry, the program rating, although the program ratings are fairly comparable. They're not, vastly different than one industry to another. Although generally these programs are like, if you go to the restaurant, you buy a beer, like that's pretty much the same cost.
Let me ask you this. So when we work with our retail clients, everything is priced individually based on their age, their circumstance, their health, height, weight, all the above. In most of the offerings that you have, is it specific to that industry? Is it under a group? Is it specific to that person, their age or health history?
Yeah. So my approach is the discovery phase, I call it. It starts with the employer, where the employer starts to paint a picture for me of the benefits that they currently offer and the types of individuals that they have working at their facility. And so with that information, then we're able to kind of pinpoint and target the need for which of the programs specifically, so that when we do a presentation or an education, it pertains to the employees specifically. We don't just we just don't walk into a business and say, hey, these are the programs, would you like to participate? Because we all know that, for any product or service, that doesn't get any much participation. So that we focus on the need of Aflac. And then with the program offering, it allows the employees more freedom and flexibility to choose which plans are more specific to them, which creates a better experience for the employee. And when the employees have a really good experience, then makes the company look really good. And so then in turn helps the company as well.
And how long is the process? If I'm interested, I reach out and I say, Collin, geez, I think this could be a great fit for my company.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have an education meeting and present this. Once we decide kind of the menu of offerings we'll have.
Yeah.
How long does it take to implement? Are we looking at a few months here or?
Well, I know that are very familiar with the Aflac programs, but let's say for an individual or a business owner who isn't as familiar with the detail of Aflac itself. So we would usually have a sit down with the employer for 20 to 30 minutes to kind of find out more information and to figure out what the portfolio is going to look like. And after that, there is the employee education, which is then again another 20 or 30-minute education. And then there's the enrollment, which is typically about 15 minutes per employee. And so the education and enrollment is supposed to be streamlined, where there's the education, and then with the enrollment, our goal is really just to make it very simple, because we know business owners, like especially right now, every second of time spent,
is money,
right? Every second of time spent growing their business is, very important. But also they want to take care of their employees. So, we try and do the best of both worlds, where we try to do a thorough job helping the employees, but also being time conscious with the employer, making sure that the employees are able to get educated, elect, and we're in and out.
That's fantastic. Let's take a quick pause and we'll be right back with the show. Are you a business owner looking for ways to save for retirement, keep and attract top talent, or maybe just save the amount of taxes you're paying? We have solutions to help all size businesses, from solo practice to mid-sized firms. There's a ton of tax incentives just up for grabs. Your employees will thank you for giving them a platform to invest in their future. If you have a retirement plan in place and you're not sure the best way to set things up, reach out to me, Constantine at Monarch Wealth Management, and I'll help you understand your options and know what you own. Not all advisors understand retirement plans, so make sure you're working with a knowledgeable team and experience the Monarch difference.
This is PennyWise Financial, and this is Constantine Kitrinos.
Welcome back to the show. Constantine here with Monarch Wealth Management. PennyWise Financial Podcast. We're joined by guest host Collin Wheatley from Aflac, the District Sales Coordinator. Collin, welcome back to the show.
Hey, always a pleasure.
So we talked about the history of Aflac and learned how the company was started and some background on benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a direct offering. I know that's probably not the primary way that you do business. Let's shift gears and talk about how business owners are incorporating you into their plans and their offerings, and how that whole process works. So we have a mixed listener or audience of business owners, as well as employees and colleagues and retail clients. So Let's talk about how a small business, medium-sized business here in upstate New York, Rochester, Syracuse, Buffalo, might get started. How does that look and feel?
Yeah. So every company and every business is a little bit different. There's companies that I work with who currently offer health insurance, and then there's some companies that don't have any benefits at all. And what we're finding in the marketplace is that, that cost of health insurance is going up, right? And so that's putting a lot more pressure on business owners and being competitive and what benefits that they can offer their employees.
Let me ask you this. Do you think cost is one of the biggest prohibiting factors, or is it maybe lack of knowledge or a combination of?
I think a combination. Cost is a definite though.
Sure.
It's right in the front of mind. And education is another challenging piece too, because with Aflac and with these programs being voluntary, supplemental, they're not health insurance, where health insurance is sort of that it's like one size fits all almost. It's like you get this plan or you get this plan or you get this plan, versus with Aflac, it's a combination of 9 more different combinations of programs that employers and employees can participate in. And so you really want to be able to educate in a way and narrow down, okay, this is the best program for you, and for your company, best portfolio, and then implementation is the next biggest piece. So
So if I'm a small business owner and I say, geez, I like the way that these benefits sound, I'd like to get started and offer them to my employees. Do I have to pick 1 or 2 different programs? You mentioned the word voluntary. So I assume that the employees have the choice to either elect or just bypass these benefits if they want to.
yeah, and that's the beauty of Aflac is is that with Aflac, these programs can be either employee funded or partially funded by the employer or fully funded by the employer. And that the pressure is sort of taken off the employer, that they don't have to choose necessarily which programs the staff will be participating in, whereas we can have it sort of be more open, offering several different types of programs. And the beauty of that is that when the employees then are educated, they may see the value in a disability program, or another person might see the value in an accident or a dental program. And so each employee can choose a different program based on their own individual or family need. And the business gets the benefit of offering a more comprehensive benefit package. And so it provides convenience, it provides flexibility, and businesses can have it be, again, fully employee funded, or they could fund portion of it or fully fund it.
And what can they expect for cost? So you mentioned the funding portion. Is there an initial setup or cost up front to get benefits offered to the employees?
Yeah. So and to answer your question very simply, for a business to offer Aflac, there's no cost for a business to offer Aflac. And what I'd like to add in addition to that is the value that we're actually able to provide these companies. So having a benefit education service, right? So a benefit enrollment team that is trained on understanding the healthcare industry and how the Aflac programs are designed to coordinate with health insurance. And so that way we're then able to then educate the employees in the best manner possible, depending on, what the company offers and the types of individuals working at that place of employment. So then we're really able to then increase the receptivity, I guess, of the Aflac programs through education, because education is the most important piece. Because, with anything, financial product or any service, is that without educating what you do, people participating really won't, the number of people participating won't be very, very high. So it's really the education that holds everything together. So yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times people don't know what they don't know. That comes on both sides, both the business owner and the employees, participants.
Yeah.
So clear benefit, no upfront cost for the business owner, no obligation to pay for any benefits or help to offset some of those costs. But it does help, I assume, with retention, because it's another benefit is a quiver in their added to their benefit package, I guess you could say.
Right.
And then for the employees, they have the option.
Right. Yeah. So really the kind of the biggest thing is the education. So the employers get the benefit of, providing a more comprehensive benefit structure, which leads to higher retention, which can potentially lead to saving some payroll savings, payroll tax savings, as well as increased productivity. Because let's say if you own a 50-person construction company and you offer a high deductible and your guys have to pay, $5,000 out of pocket before going to the doctors, which is going to then deter them from going to the doctors. So then by implementing Aflac, which then pays the individual money to go to the doctor, then they're incentivized to stay healthy. And when they're healthy, they're more productive, which can potentially help grow a company's bottom line.
You mentioned a word, retention. I know we're talking about employee retention, but let's say an employee separates from employment. They leave for another job or a different position. Are those plans portable in any way?
So yes, they are portable. The difference is that when an individual leaves a company and they go on a direct basis, let's say if they took a pre-tax deduction
Mhm.
for their Aflac benefits, and then they poured it to like a checking or savings account, for example, that would be after tax dollars. So they would be losing the pre-tax deduction.
Right, and it's probably not much anyway. I'm sure this is a much richer benefit on the other end of the spectrum. One quick note about benefits. What do you think? And this is a kind of a general question.
Mhm.
What do you think the number one elected benefit is? What do you see across the board? Is it like a disability? Is it
For Aflac?
yes?
Okay. I would say our accident program is our most participated or has the most people participating in this program.
And so the accident would be is that the one that covers any kind of sickness or illness too, if you're sick for extended period of time or hospitalized?
So the accident is specific to injuries.
Okay.
Yep.
And that doesn't have to be specific to a job related injury, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So the
Skiing accident or
Yep.
skateboarding accident. I don't know what I'd be doing on a skateboard in my 40s, but that would be awful to see.
I mean, depends on who you are. I think that'd be hilarious.
Well, with that, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with the show.
Do you have a high deductible insurance plan? If so, have you set up your HSA? There's a ton of people who don't know what it is or how it works. Even worse, there is an underserved segment of the population that can't get advice from their advisor about how to make the most of these powerful and unique programs. Not many advisors focus on this in their practice, don't understand the mechanics of how they work, or even where to begin helping their clients. Reach out to me, Constantine at Monarch Wealth Management, and I'll guide you through this process and get you on track to make the most of your high deductible plan and your superhuman HSA. That's 585-484-1400. That's 585-484-1400.
This is PennyWise Financial, and this is Constantine Kitrinos.
Welcome back to PennyWise Financial. This is Constantine Kitrinos, managing partner here at Monarch Wealth Management, joined again by guest host Collin Wheatley, the district sales coordinator with Aflac. Collin, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
So we covered a few different topics. I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about the business clients, the business owners you're working with locally. We manage 401k plans. We work with small to mid-sized companies, business owners looking to build in kind of their net worth, their retirement package, and we do valuations to get them to understand where their exit strategy might be. I know that not all of our business owners were able to keep on all the employees, continue running payroll, continue paying benefits, funding 401ks and matches. So we've seen a number of changes. How have you seen your clients be impacted by COVID?
So through the months of March and I believe all the way up to June or July, when a lot of businesses started making their comeback, Aflac did a premium forgiveness. So for a lot of the companies that we work with, they didn't have employees who were, they're essentially laid off for that time. And so over those 3-4 months, in a typical environment with, not paying for your programs, it would be then canceled due to non-payment. And so one of the really nice things Aflac did is they provided a forgiveness plan so that when employees were out of work, none of the Aflac programs were canceled. We paid 100% of the claims that were paid out. So, which is an amazing, amazing thing that Aflac was able to do. And then when the employees were able to come back, we set up a payment plan to make up those premium deductions that were missed.
That's really great. So there was really no lapse in coverage. Any claims were paid, and the premiums, although were required to be repaid at some point, they didn't lapse, and none of the policies lapsed.
Correct.
No coverage lapse. That's fantastic.
Correct. Yeah. And even actually, in addition to that too, any, doctor hospital stay visits that were due to COVID-19, 100% of those claims were paid too. So let's say for, individuals going to the doctors or God forbid to the hospital due to COVID-19, all those claims were paid as well for our policyholders.
It's pretty rich in the benefits world. I mean, we talk about different types of benefits. We have some of our folks who work for companies that have disability, and typically they're looking at long-term disability if they own one on their own or have one through their employer. Maybe just touch on one quick benefit, the short-term disability. How is that different than the traditional disability that you'll see in the workplace?
So there's a couple different disabilities that we see in the workplace. The one that you mentioned, long-term disability, that's primarily for individuals with life-sustaining disabilities, and they either are not able to work or be able to do portion of their work. And then with our short-term disability, a lot of times when, actually every time when we work with an employer, they offer the New York State Disability Program. And so with the New York State Disability Program, it is a disability plan. So a lot of times when we're having these conversations, individuals, business owners, or the employees would be saying like, well, I'm covered under New York State Disability. Why would I need Aflac disability in addition to that? And so if any of the listeners have ever been out on disability before or know somebody who has, New York State disability really only nets people about $480 a month.
Ouch.
Which is then taxed. So you're looking at about $400 for your entire financial expenses. And in addition to that, like, let's say for, if there's any maternities who've been on maternity would absolutely know this program. And a lot of times the New York State disability doesn't even hit your bank account until you're coming back to work. So there's a time period between you're on disability to the New York State disability check coming your way. And so what really separates Aflac apart from those programs is that Aflac's program goes above and beyond New York State disability, where let's say if you go out of work, it'll pay up to 65% of your income, and it's all tax-free money so that you can use that for getting better, for medical expenses, for financial expenses, whatever it is that you might need. And then this is the program that's going to actually cover you up to that long-term disability. So a lot of long-term disabilities I've seen kick in after 6 months or so. So if an individual had to live on New York State disability for 6 months until long-term disability kicked in, there's that gap in coverage. So
Wow.
So Aflac short-term disability will just help make sure that you're financially protected in the time of need, and you're not able to make it to work.
That's fantastic. Now you mentioned the speed of payment, and I've seen this touted on some of the Aflac commercials in the past. What's the typical time frame from the time you file a claim and a claim is actually paid out?
Yeah, so we have released our one-day pay. So this is it's either you can get it as an app on your phone or you can file right from your computer. And with our one-day pay platform, this is for our accident, hospital, and cancer. And we are now in midst extending it to a couple of our other programs where if you have one of these programs and you file a claim online, those benefits, if you file it by 3 p.m. that day, will hit your bank account by midnight that same day. So it'll be paid within 1 day.
So you're a little faster than New York State is what you're saying.
Slightly. And then for the programs that are not on the one-day pay, those programs are paid out within 4 to 6 business days.
Wow. So what's your take? I know we talked a lot about the company and benefits and things for the business owners and the participants. But how do you see this whole world of COVID in business? When do you think that's coming back? Going back to this quote unquote norm?
Well, I've heard that there is no going back to normal. Is that the changes that you see are not going to be here to stay. There's, COVID is hopefully, and this is just my personal opinion too.
Of course.
It's not anything that Aflac stands for, but COVID's not going to be here forever. It's going to be, something similar to, the flu. You might get a vaccine and you'll see the number of infected cases drop. I think you'll see then the lifting of restrictions on public places, and eventually things will be going back to what feels like more so of normal. Although in this time frame from COVID, happening in March here in Rochester, New York, and up until now, you're seeing a lot more people utilizing virtual Zoom, WebEx, GoTo meetings, which are all virtual meetings. I think that a lot of interactions are going to be, there's still going to be face-to-face interactions, but it's going to be a lot of virtual. I feel like there's going to be more implementation of it.
More like a hybrid.
Yeah.
A little bit of both.
Some convenience. Like, it's actually been really nice too, because I'm sure you might have been, if this ever happened to you, I don't know, it might just be me, where you have an extremely busy day, and you might know the person that you have a meeting with, and so you'd reach out to them being like, hey, it's kind of like a time crunch today. Would you mind doing a virtual meeting? And they would say, okay, that's fine. And so it's provided more flexibility in time, so that instead of having to take that 10, 15, 20-minute drive and then meet with that individual for half an hour, 45 minutes, and then that 15, 20-minute drive back, virtual has really kind of saved me some time. So I think it's definitely changed the market, and I think it's changing the market. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to be seeing a lot more of.
You mentioned a couple things like travel, the amount of time you have in between meetings, how you meet with people. So if you're traveling less, you're spending less on gas, less wear and tear in your car. Maybe you're not going to buy a car so frequently as you used to in the past. And then, you think about inflation. If you're not traveling, you're probably not spending as much money on the road. You're spending more time at your computer, at your home office. So it's maybe a shift in revenue and how people are spending, like spending habits, travel habits, even for vacation. I mean, I can't imagine anybody's traveled really anywhere for vacation, although I've seen some posts where people went out of the country for their, honeymoons and different things. Still boggles me, but I can't get used to this mask wearing and non-social contact.
I think the mask will go away eventually.
I hope so. I'm confident, eventually once we get a vaccine, that things will start to kind of subside. I know we have a looming election. There's a lot of, this is a financial show. So you think about inflation, the injection of capital. We talk about this on almost every show we do.
The stimulus package
that
came out,
the unemployment benefits. I'm sure you had some business owners that had some challenges there. Geez, some of these employees are making more money on unemployment staying home than they were at the office or working wherever they were working.
Here's a question for you. Where do you see the stock market going over the next, 2 to 4 years?
Well, tell me which date you want to know. I'll give you the actual return. Let me just pull out my crystal ball. No, it's a great question.
Are we in a bubble right now?
It's a great question. Different sectors, I think, maybe are fully valued. When you look at the tech sector, they're not cheap. And I think maybe buying in at this point might be buying in a little expensive. But if it's the only thing that's working right now and it has momentum, to continue growing until we do have a vaccine and things calm down, I don't know that people will totally retract from doing those Zoom meetings or using technology to continue to enhance their business and their growth. You might just not see the same growth numbers that we've seen the last few quarters. If you think about, I drive down Main Street this morning and you see businesses closing or maybe running at half capacity. They have less employees. That means less people on payroll, less people working. And then we have this injection of capital. So I think there's going to be inflation definitely, and maybe a little bit of a snapback. And we got a pretty big election with a great divide right now. I think in the U.S. Amongst friends and family members.
Yeah.
I see it just about every day.
Oh yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how things play out. But our strategy, like when we invest for clients and we help them manage their accounts, whether it be for retirement or non-retirement assets, we look at the goal more so than the actual return and what's going to happen next month, or November's coming. Do we sell out and go back in? No, we don't try to time the market. I have not been successful at doing that. I've never seen it done correctly. It's a process you have to repeat and, sell at the high and buying at the low and continue to do that. It's just a big, big challenge. I haven't seen it done correctly.
Yeah. Actually, I've been seeing on the news, and you probably might see more of this, where there's a lot of people that are day traders. What are your thoughts on people that try and do that all independently?
I wish them well. I think there might be this kind of safety blanket right now where they presume that the way things have been the last couple of months is normal. It's far from normal. And I think those folks that have made 50, 70, 100, 200, 300% in just, maybe 4 or 5 months, that's great. I hope they're doing things to protect those gains, their principal, and then thinking about tax consequence as well. That's the thing. People look at the stock and they hope that they make money on it, and they don't think about taxes and how to best kind of dwindle down that position and protect against loss. So yeah, I mean, we're here for that stuff too, but we have a lot of clients that have some side accounts, some play accounts, and they've done well, and some haven't fared so well either. But I think for the most part, people are pretty happy with not only stock performance, the stock market itself, and any day trading they're doing. I don't hear many people complaining.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, I think that's all the time we have for today's show. Thank you again, Collin Wheatley from Aflac, the District Sales Coordinator. Thanks again for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to PennyWise Financial, brought to you by Monarch Wealth Management. Constantine and David really care about their clients. They want to make sure you're happy, so you'll continue to hire them. There's no commitments, and clients are free to leave whenever they want. Think about being able to pick up the phone and call someone for guidance and advice on almost anything, from buying a car, selling a home, buying vacation properties, or even selling a business. Reach out on the website at monarchwealthmanagement.com. There are 2 offices in Rochester and 2 offices in Buffalo. Reach out to us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube, or call us toll-free at 800-480-1580. That's 800-480-1580. Until next time, this is PennyWise Financial, signing off.
The opinions voiced in this program are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities are offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA and SIPC.